Hey everybody, my name is Eric and I'm a wellness coach and the director of wellness for my nonprofit, Project Echelon, where we educate, equip, and empower veterans through physical activity and self-discovery. What I want to do here is I want to share a little bit about my workouts, a little bit about my engagement in physical activity, really geared towards the beginner, someone who is just trying to figure out what that means for them and why it's even important. So I'm going to show you some of what I do for a workout, why and how I take some things away from it. I really believe that fitness and training, one of the greatest benefits beyond, the physical change and transformation we can see, is the inner transformation. If you see a physique benefit, it's because something changed in your psyche. And this place, this dungeon here that we're in, is the sparring ground for me. It's my favorite and most consistent one. And for you, that's the key, is finding your consistent sparring ground. I have done triathlon as an Ironman triathlete. I have done jiu-jitsu. I have done weight training throughout all of it. I have tried running sports, cycling sports, and I'm open to it all, but I'm also open to pause, pivot, and pursue a new path. That is one of the core concepts, and that is one of the things that I have found most relatable to weight training, because I've been training for many years, and consistency has been the hardest thing, and it's mostly because of my own fault. It's because my ego, it's because I was impatient, and the body makes you patient. So today, what the workout I'm doing is I'm finishing the last 2 weeks of a mesocycle, which is like a month-long block of training, and at the end of it, I'm going to change to something else. And I want to get into what the workout looks like, why I'm doing it, and what I'm going to change in the next one, because we should always be changing, assessing, and figuring out what the best path forward is. So let's take a look at what the workout is for today and get into it. So with this block, it's focused on hypertrophy. So what I'm doing is aiming for 20 reps, and that should leave me with no reps in reserve. I'm not going to actually hit that. I've been keeping it back to about 3 reps in reserve. And reason for that is I'm trying to find the balance. Muscle growth, not so much strength, though you will gain some strength. I do love strength, but it puts a pressure on my joints and it hurts in the long run, so I have to do that sparingly, which would be like anything under 8 reps for me is more of the strength, and it puts that tension on my joints. But I like to go 8 to 20 reps for hypertrophy. You can go more, up to 30, and that's still pretty proven to give you the hypertrophy that you're looking for. But I get bored after 20. I start to sacrifice form. I'm not doing slow eccentrics. I'm not doing it in a way that puts time under tension. I'm doing it in a way that I want to get to 30 or whatever and be done. So it's important to know yourself and realize that's what you should do, is whatever is most engaging for you and puts you under stress and gives you that test, but doesn't hurt your mental or physical life. So I hit 20 reps, and I definitely could have done a few more, but like I said, I'm not trying to go to 0, which is what I'm programmed to do today, is go to 0 reps in reserve. As a solo lifter, I don't like to get to that point unless I have a spotter. So I'm usually targeting 1 or 2 when it says 0. And that's because the goals that I have aren't on a timeline of I have to optimize every workout to get to some result in a certain time frame. It's more or less the rest of my life. I want to build these habits. So I'm going to increase the weight from 65 to 70, and hopefully that brings me down to 18 or 15. And as long as I don't get under 10, I'm okay, but I will adjust the weight to get me between 10 and 20, feeling pretty taxed. So I went to 75, I got 15, so I had 20, 20, 15. I'm hoping for 12 on the last one. I'm going to stay at 75, but that's sort of the game of training. You want to make sure that you're pushing yourself, but not pushing yourself beyond reason. And that, again, is understanding, what are you doing this for? Are you a bodybuilder? Are you a competitive athlete? Do you have an event coming up? Well, yeah, maybe that's going to change the expediency of what you're doing. But for me and the majority of people who I help, just want to make a better choice for their life. They want to bring in habits that make them want to make better choices in other parts of their life. And the work we do here directly influences the work we do in our lives, the way we write our story, because we've changed the way we move our body. And this movement allows me to write a better story because I'm crafting a vehicle that can write a better story. And there's two parts of that right now. One is the control and quality of movement. Being able to go slow with proper technique and recognizing that if I tweak form and I contort and I risk hurting my back, but I get one more rep, is that the best? Is that the best for me? Well, probably not. So when I go to 0, I feel my form is sacrificing. The closer I am to that, push and then I'm starting to twist or really flex, well, I know there's a problem coming, so I'm done. And the reason is because your body and in life, the weakest link of the equation is going to suffer first. And we have to start to become aware where that weakness lies. In this, it's my low back or it's my core. So if my shoulders are weakening, my body is going to try and compensate and say, oh, the shoulders are going bad, so let's contort and try to recruit some pec, or we can flex this way, now the chest up so we can do this, and now we can get it up. And yeah, that's a good thing for survival, right? Like, you need that, but that's not really what I'm here to do. It's just like when I go into life and I'm trying to create this program to share with people. Well, what's my weakest link? Is it my scheduling? Is it my framework and my organization? Is it my time management? Whatever it is weak is going to be the thing that throws me off and makes me potentially fail. What stops the failure is pausing, assessing what's going on, making a pivot and a change, and then pursuing that. So for me here, pause is, I keep getting injured. Why is that? It's probably because your form is sacrificing, because you're not listening to the weak signal, the thing that says we're at our limit. You're trying to go to a number, a specific number, and increase weight by this much. Otherwise, you're somehow failing. Well, that leads me to being out of working out for 2 weeks because I hurt myself. If we don't listen to the cues to pause and say, let's do something different because this situation is reminiscent of the times that we fail, we're going to continue to make that failure. So working out is a wonderful place to get humble and really look at what causes our failure, because what we do in the gym, we do in life, where we show up here, we show up there. The way we fail here, we fail there. This is a great teacher. That's why I want everyone to get into fitness of some kind, to find the way that they can consistently do it. Because it's not about the body getting strong and looking all muscular. It's about connecting to the physical, because the lessons you learn in the physical, they transform things. They make you see things differently. And on top of that, you get good chemicals in your brain. You get dopamine, you get rewarded for doing something good. You feel more joy, you feel more balance, and you can even bring that balance into conflict, where you have more objectivity and you allow yourself to take more ownership and gain self-awareness. And that is the key to balance in life, is self-awareness and ownership, because that's changing you, not the environment. And when you change you, you end up influencing the environment. So I do a full body workout 3 times a week. And the reason I do that is 2 reasons. One is if I miss a day for sickness or whatever, I still get to work every part of my body 2 times that week. But if I only do chest and triceps on Monday and I miss a Monday, then I don't do chest and triceps until next Monday, and I miss it for a whole week. So it saves me that. I also enjoy doing full body and hitting everything. And 2, it allows me to focus and target different groups throughout that week. So it's not like I'm not doing some specificity. Today it's biceps is one of the key focuses. So 5 sets of biceps at 50 pounds I'm going to do, and shoot for a descending, 20 to start, and then hopefully still hitting 15 or 12 by the end of the 5 sets. And basically at that weight, you're looking for the burn. You're looking for that feeling of that bathing of acid on your biceps. And that's kind of like the fertilization of the muscles for growth, if you will, in this training. It's not strength focused, it's hypertrophy focused. Strength is totally different. And I'll be planning on doing that in my next mesocycle, or at least adding some more strength into the hypertrophy, because it's good to have that diversity of training as long as you understand how to engage in it in a healthy way. entirely possible that in between sets the song might be banging and it might make me dance. And this is one of those cases where certain songs come on and I dance and I might be fatigued for my next set. But then also, as a man, there's certain things in your pants that when you dance, move around in different ways. And sometimes you don't notice that until you're lifting and you get a sensation when you're lowering the bar and you have to adjust it, but you don't want to put the weight down, so you try to shake it off and that doesn't work, and then you try again and it keeps happening, and then you just kind of look weird, I guess, mildly creepy perhaps, I don't know. One of the things that I do when I'm lifting is I set targets. You know, I want to hit X amount of reps. Well, sometimes that number is higher than I would like to think about, and I'll set myself smaller goals. So that would look like I want to hit 20 or 16 or 15, whatever. Well, as long as I get to 8, I'm winning. Okay, if I get to 8 and I get to 10, solid. Anything above here is gravy. Or I can get to 12, and if I'm okay at 12, I'm going to go to 15. And if I get 15, I'm going to go to 18. If I get 18, I'm going to go to 20. Sometimes you figure it out really quick, but breaking it down, especially when it's a 20 rep set, it helps me to not be overwhelmed by like, man, I'm already getting fatigued and it's only 8 reps in. And then I might cheat myself because I'll be like, you know what, I'm getting to 10 and quitting. No, it's an attitude of, I'm going to get to 10 and see how I'm feeling. Because you can almost always do a couple more when you're starting to fatigue. But if you don't allow yourself to go a little bit beyond that and then a little bit beyond that, you never really fully understand what your capacity is. And that's everywhere in life. The lesson we learn here, we learn out there, we apply out there because we did it in here. That's one. I mean, I really don't want to read this next 2 pages of this chapter, even though I need to learn. I know I'm here to learn, and I said I would. Well, you read those 2 by reading the 1, by reading half the page and saying, okay, if I get through half, I've only got half more. Let's see how I'm feeling. Get through 1 page, you get through, like, this is not super crazy. It's just giving yourself a little bit more, and we live in a culture where we tend to just be like all or nothing. I don't buy it. I believe in growth is something. Pushing beyond your limits is something. That's what it becomes personal to you, because my growth is not the same as yours. Your workout, the weights you put on the bar might be more or less than me. The reps you do might be more or less. The days you work out might be more or less. The quality of your movement might be better or worse than me. It doesn't matter. What matters is you addressing you through understanding what others have learned. We can compare certain things, but not everything. Very little. So my encouragement is find the limitations that hold you back from enjoying the experience and pushing yourself at the same time and address them. And that's what I want to do here with this series, which I don't know how many I'm going to do. I got to figure this all out. I'm experimenting. I'm pushing myself because I've been training for a while and now I want to push a little bit further. So I'm doing a very basic video audio setup. I'm going to do a basic edit. And we'll see how that feels. I'm going to see if it's sustainable with the rest of the things that I'm doing and building my daily heroic framework for my wellness coaching, for my clients, for my children who I take care of in homeschool, planning meals, like all the stuff that I do in a day. I have to make sure that this engagement, as much as I want to do it, doesn't interfere with the others. So keeping it simple and not being like, I have to be as good as everybody else online who does this professionally. No, I don't have to do that. I'm going to share my experience with you in ways that I can by pushing myself a little bit further, but not overwhelming myself. Now that biceps are done, we're going to switch over to inverted rows, do 3 sets of inverted row to target the back and some rear delt. And it's one of my favorite to do, especially when I have my low back kind of flaring up. It's not so great. This allows me to train my back without having to be in some kind of a bent over posture, which I will do for legs, but it limits how many times I'm in that position. And it also better targets my back because my legs are weak. They are years behind everything else. And it took me going to a personal trainer myself to understand what I was doing wrong to fix it. But now I can do the exercise with my legs and I'm making progress, but the inverted row is still great because I can use my core and be rigid and just really tax my back instead of, I can't do this anymore because my hamstrings are weak and my low back is getting weak and and then I start to stop because I'm in pain, not because I'm tired. And that's the goal, is trying to make sure the muscle you're working is the thing that limits you, not some other accessory muscle. So going to dips, I sometimes will give myself a little bit of grace. I won't hold myself to the 8 rep rule of trying to have that be the basement, just because sometimes the triceps are pretty taxed by that point. So we'll see what we get today. And so in this case, I was able to get 8, but I don't know for 3 sets if I'll be able to hit that. So I'm not going to be hard on myself if I don't get it, but I'm going to try and give it my best, because that's what we do. And side note, rest and recovery time is the time it takes for my breath to regain, for my muscles not to feel like they're cramping, and to mentally be dialed in for the next set. Right now, my breath is coming down. I just finished my first set. You can hear my voice is a little bit, out of breath, so I'm not quite ready, but I'm pretty darn close. So just with a few more breaths, I'll probably be good to go. My mind's ready. My arms and body feel fine. It's just, I don't want to go back into my set when my cardio will be the limiting factor, which is something I have struggled with in the leg portion of this workout. But you want to reduce the limiting factor to the muscle you're working. So right now my cardiorespiratory system is the limiting factor, and that needs to stop so that when I work out, I'm not setting myself up to underperform what my muscles can do. It can be humbling to reduce your weight to something that is less than you can do. So for me, doing 110 on wide grip bench press, it's an ego check, because yes, I know there's no one here judging me, but I am the ultimate judge of myself. We all are the judge of ourselves, and we get to be as kind or as mean as we want to be based on what we need. And sometimes you do need to kick your own ass a little bit, and a lot of times you don't. But in this case, I know that I can bench 215. So to go to 110, it feels like I'm cheating myself. But if I bench 215, the way I feel after that, then after the way I do, several sets, 15, 20 reps of 110 is completely different. And so the goal I have to get my mind excited about the steps it takes to get the results that I want. And that requires me to fall in love with the feeling of bench pressing 110, 120, 135 for higher reps. I think it takes patience. I think it develops that, and that's what I didn't have before, so I never did it, and I ended up hurting myself a lot. And finally, after years of trying, I'm okay with it. And going from heavier weights to lighter weights for me was necessary, and it's getting fun. I'm enjoying the feeling I get when I do this type of work. That takes it from this extrinsic, what I see in the mirror and what others see in me, and it shifts it to an intrinsic, this is sustainable and I'm having a blast. The way I feel strong, and it's a feeling, not a external metric of how much weight is on the bar. It's an internal feeling of like, I am doing what I need to do and I feel great about it. And that's the shift of mindset that it takes for me to change. And it might not be the exact same for you, but I promise it is a mindset shift and a connection to the thing you're doing in a way that elicits intrinsic joy and motivation, instead of this dogged mentality of grinding and doing it because you don't want to be seen a certain way and you want someone to see you a certain way. That's not going to be a sustainable goal. So now we're doing calf raises on the stair, which is a humbling one after upper body stuff, because I stabilize myself in the stairway, and when my arms are so smoked from the first half of the workout, it's hard for me. It's like the calves are supposed to be the limiting factor, but my shoulders and arms stabilizing myself on the wall become the limiting factor. And so it's like, what's causing me more pain and discomfort and burn, my shoulders or my calf? And when you do 5 sets of the calf, eventually it equals out, but those first 2 really test you in a funny way. So fitting with the theme of trying to figure out how all this is going to work and what is time effective versus a waste, I've removed a light just to see what this looks like for lighting, because the camera is so far away because I don't have a lens that's able to get closer because we have this new camera with a PL mount. Totally different conversation you don't need to know about, but I have it way back there so I can't even see the screen to see if I'm in frame. So for this whole time I could be like this. It's fine. It's just a test, and I hope it works and there's something I can produce out of this that, I can put up and share with you guys. But if not, what are you gonna do? Anyway, just finished the calf section, and now it's officially lower body. So we're gonna do some stiff-legged deadlifts, we're gonna do some deadlifts, and we're gonna do some walking lunges, and that should finish it. So stiff-legged deadlifts is one of my favorite. It took me a long time to figure out how to do it, and I had a friend give me one form critique that really changed it for me. So thank you, Jed. And it's funny how sometimes it's just one detail of something that we're doing wrong that allows us to do it right. That's the benefit of frustration. When we're frustrated because like, I can't do a stiff-legged deadlift, I can't write this presentation, I can't figure out how to help my child. All that frustration is calling us to do is let new information and go find it because we don't know. And many times we just sit there and get frustrated over and over again. And then we end up quitting and failing and just justifying it through wearing a different mask that is not the mask of the hero. Something like the accuser who blames someone for all the problems that they have and the reasons it won't work. The victim who says, I'm just helpless and I can't do it. Or the bystander who just kind of moonwalks away and lets everybody else figure it out. And the martyr who just believes that they deserve this. This pain is their burden because they deserve pain and suffering. And if they suffer, someone else doesn't have to. Whoever you're being, the frustration says get new information. So we can do a lot of things. I can do a stiff-legged deadlift, but I needed the cue on how to do it correctly to solve the problem I was having. And now that I can, it has unlocked a whole lower body experience that I can train finally that I haven't been able to since I was injured in Iraq. And I'm so excited to be able to bring that part of training into my training plan. So when I do the stiff-legged deadlifts, I am always excited because I can finally do them, and it's taken years, and all it took was one person saying one thing, and for me to have a posture of openness to hearing it and applying it. That is where I love coaching. When you meet someone who is ready to hear and is open to a different perspective, and they go and apply certain things and they start collecting the things that work, and you watch them begin to succeed and understand and believe in themselves, that is one of the sweetest things. That is one of the things that I cherish most. So let's get into some stiff-legged deadlifts. Sometimes you got to bring in assistance because you're limited by something other than the main muscle you're working. This case would be the forearms and my grip. So I'm bringing on the VersaGrips to help me lift and hold the bar so I can focus more on the movement and not on bailing out because I'm losing grip and the tendon is starting to flare up. So there are tools out there to help you, and sometimes you just don't know they exist or that they're even needed. So really grateful for these. Decided to go easier on stiff-legged deadlifts because my low back is a little bit aggravated, a little annoyed with me today, and there's no sense in making it really pissed off, especially when I have deadlifts and walking lunges yet to go. And I would prioritize finishing the whole workout by maybe shorting myself a few reps in an exercise so that I can finish the whole thing, because I like knowing that I'm hitting every part of the body when I train. And sometimes, a couple of times, I have only done half the workout because that's what I needed. But if I can, I'll make a small adjustment, and I'm okay with that because I listen to my body. I've learned enough to listen to my body. And again, what are my goals? Do I need to push past that point? No, it doesn't really get me anything because I'm training for wellness and to be functionally strong and able to do things in my life like yard work, hang out with the kids, play pickleball, and not feel like I'm in pain, go on walks, go running. I mean, do all the things that I want to do in a non-competitive way while still feeling like I'm testing myself, that I'm building myself, I'm enhancing, I'm improving myself, increasing vitality mentally and physically. That's a decision I consciously make, and I advise others with similar goals to mine to make as well, because it's a bigger deal to get consistent than it is to get every last ounce of every single workout. One of the hard things is recognizing what pain is to push through and what pain is to listen to. One of the ways that you discern that is by pausing. You take an assessment. You have learned over time what this pain might mean and what might be causing it. You do that through failure, a lot of failure, and maybe some education. And in this moment, my back doesn't feel great, so I pause. take a minute, think about it, move it around a little bit, and then I say, okay, what causes it? Arching my back a little bit, I'm bent over too much, let's keep the chest up, go for 1 or 2 more and see if that solves it. And I created some tension in my core, and that seemed to take care of it, so we finished the set. We'll take a break, and then we'll go to the next set and see how it feels then, and take it set by set. If I gotta cut the last 2 sets, hey, no big deal. We'll move on to walking lunges and see how they feel. But that's the process. What is this pain here to tell me? Tell me to stop or tell me to adjust? So that's the workout for Friday. Feeling good. Bailed out on the last set of deadlifts halfway through. Really felt the pain change location to something that I needed to listen to. And it used to be a situation where I'd beat myself up. Or I would say, this is the road to failure. This is when it all falls apart. And I realized that that's not true. The hero's journey has showed time and time again that you go on a road of trials once you take a call to action. And in the road of trials can be the failures, the setbacks, the doubt, people doubting or ourselves doubting. That's the trial. The hero has to prove, if you're to be the hero of your story, that you're willing to go through that stuff to get the reward. Now, when you get that reward, you have to apply the reward and you have to protect the reward. Because if I am training and I am seeing great success and my life is transformed and I want to share that with other people, people are going to doubt. People are going to talk down and diminish my words or the fact that I care about people or that it's foolish or that anything. I've been called many different names before that had nothing to do with what I even had to say. I don't like that, but I know it's part of the reality of the hero in the story. And if I'm the hero of my story, I have to be okay with that. And for a long time, I hid because I wasn't okay with that. And honestly, I'm still not. I still don't want to expose myself to attack. As a soldier, that was the opposite of what you wanted to do. You would create defensive positions, you would find cover. You're not going to stand out in the open for the enemy to see and say, come get me. But this isn't combat, this isn't war. This is vulnerability. This is wanting to make a difference and having to accept the consequences of that desire. And I want my legacy to be one where I made a difference in people's lives. I made a difference in my life, in my family's life, and in others. So everything I do has to match that. There's service in that, and we need to grow and we need to serve. Those are the 2 highest needs of the spirit. And so it might look like weight training, it might look like running, it might look like riding a bike, but you're serving yourself. And until we learn how to serve, we're going to always be at a low level of functioning because we haven't gotten into the needs of the spirit. There's lots of ways to serve, but the easiest way is to serve yourself through fitness because that unlocks your desire and ability to make better choices elsewhere. It gives you patience. I'm in a more balanced state because I was able to go through struggle, get some good chemicals from fitness. My brain rewarded me. And now when I go upstairs to be with my children, I will have more patience. Because I learned something here. I learned that I've developed resiliency, that I'm not ashamed that I didn't finish the last set of my deadlifts. I'm not believing or worried that someone is going to come out online and tell me how wrong I am and that I don't push hard enough and I don't grind because I have transformed my life. I know that. My confidence comes from inside, not from the affirmation of others, and for so long it came from the affirmation of others. My life is a testament to myself that I have overcome and that I continue to do so. And as I grow as a coach, it's what I'm helping other people do. That's my great desire, is to help people find their limitations and push past them through my daily heroic mindset. That's what I created to help people do it because that's what I created to help myself.